made friends with during my time in the service.
Oh, that's cool.
Are you still friends with anyone you were in the
You know,
service
I
with?
really don't keep up with any of them anymore. It was when I got back from Vietnam, I wanted to leave that life behind.
Yeah, that makes sense. What was it like coming back home?
Weird.
Weird.
I found that although I wasn't afraid in Vietnam, I found that I'd built a shell around myself to deflect the pressures and the stress of serving in a military zone. And I got home and I didn't know how to rid myself of that shell that I'd developed. So it was it took me about 6 months to a year to recover
Oh, wow.
from Vietnam. A buddy of mine and I were walking in my hometown. This is in Pennsylvania, in the wintertime, and a car drove by and backfired twice. And the next thing I know, I'm in the snow, because I'm thinking this is gunshot.
Oh, wow.
And my buddy's, what the hell are you doing? Like, hey, man.
It's crazy. I mean, that makes sense, though. What did you do for, like, recreation and fun off duty?
We worked pretty much 12-hour days.
Oh, wow.
So there wasn't, an awful lot. But we played a lot of sports. We had a softball league. We played a little football at lunchtime, and a little basketball in the evening. Plus, we drank a lot.
Seems to work for a lot of things. Fixes a lot of things. Where were you when the war ended?
When the war ended, I was, let's see, I was probably back in school. I think it was about ready to graduate graduate from college when the war finally ended.
Oh, that's cool. Around the Vietnam War, there was a lot of people that were against it. How did you deal with that?
I was against it.
You were?
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense.
The Vietnamese were 80 to 90% Buddhist, and the government was Catholic. So we were supporting a Catholic government that was a very, very small minority. And also, for the most part, I felt like that the Vietnamese saw us just as an extension of the French, the colonialists that had been there for 100 years, and they weren't particularly pleased that we were there.
Yeah.
Although they weren't really pleased that the communists were there. They were pretty ambivalent about our presence there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When you were there, did you interact with the people there a lot, or were you all just together most of the time?
I wouldn't say that I interacted a lot with them, but we interacted some with them. We interacted mainly, or more so probably, with the Vietnamese military rather than the populace.
Was there a difference in like your strategy styles for going about the war from the Vietnamese and the American side?
No.
No? That's cool. How did you return home? It's kind of an odd question.
I took a plane.
Yeah, odd question.
Well, that's there were some that came back on boats.
Okay.
The unit that I joined in Vietnam had gotten over there like 2 or 3 months earlier than I did, and they had actually taken a boat
Oh, wow.
because they had to take all their equipment over with them. So they actually went over on the seas.
It's interesting. How did you readjust to civilian life? What did you do to make the readjustment a little bit easier?
Like I say, it was a difficult experience, and I really don't know that I did anything to try to readjust. There was no help. Nowadays, the Army, the services recognize, that a lot of soldiers have post-traumatic stress syndrome, and they've got programs to deal with it. When I came back, they said, "It's been real nice, Lieutenant. You're out of here," and I was very glad to leave them.
Yeah. What college did you, because you said you attended college after, what college did you
I
attend?
went to Penn State,
Penn State?
Yep.
Okay, that's cool. I know someone that goes there.
What did you major in?
accounting.
Accounting. That's cool. Are you a member of any veteran organizations?
No.
No? What have you done since separating from the military? Be an accountant?
Went back to school. I kicked around for a couple of years, and finally decided that I wasn't getting any place in this world, and that to do anything I really needed to go back and get my degree.
Yeah.
When I got my degree in accounting, I became a CPA and worked in that profession for the last 40 years.
Oh, well, that's a long time. That's cool. What made you want to be an accountant, like, after the military? Just...
I was very, very good in math, and I enjoyed chemistry, but both of those particular endeavors required a lot of study, and I wasn't willing to study, and I found accounting very easy,
Yeah.
and it just seemed like a natural for me.
Cool. How did your wartime experiences affect your life?
For the most part, I think that because I went through OCS and became an officer, it gave me from a resume standpoint, it gave me a leg up on other people because it showed that I had the ability to deal with stress, was fairly intelligent, and was adaptable.
That's cool. What were some of the lessons you've learned from the military service that you still use today?
Probably the biggest one that I learned was, as I said, I was a platoon leader, and what a platoon leader is he has in charge of a group of approximately 30 to 40 people. So, and then in a company, there's 4 platoons. There's 3 other platoon leaders and a captain. And one of the men in one of the other platoons fired a grenade launcher
Oh my.
inside a bunker. Very fortunate that a grenade, once you fire a grenade launcher, it takes so many revolutions before it actually arms itself.
Okay.
So he was in the bunker, and it was only like 5 feet before it hit the wall. So it didn't, when it hit the wall, it didn't detonate because it hadn't armed itself.
Okay.
But the firing a weapon, in a base camp where there's no particular need to, is a very they frowned upon it, let's say.
Yeah. I think so.
So it wasn't one of my guys. It was one of my my fellow platoon leaders, one of my buddy's guys, and he just wanted to let the incident pass, and he didn't want to tell our company commander. I talked to him about this, and he said, "No, we're just going to try to let this slide through." Well, unfortunately, it had gone up the chain of the command in a different fashion, and it got to the battalion commander. So the battalion commander wants to know about this from my company commander, who's, you know, although he's my superior, he's still sort of a buddy of mine. And he's in hot water because he doesn't know a thing about this. And he's looking to me and saying, "John, why didn't you tell me about, you know, this incident?" And I'm going, "Tony, you know, it was really Dale's job. You know, it was his platoon. It was one of his guys, and I felt like he should have told you." And it was one of those things that I learned that, you know, you've got to tell your superior when something happens, even though it's not, you know, not one of your direct reports. You've still got to, you know, if your buddies won't tell your commanding officer, you've got to protect him also, and we didn't protect him in that particular instance.
That makes sense. It's really interesting. How has your military service impacted your feelings about today's wars and the military in general?